Republican Congresswoman, conspiracy theorist, and devout MAGA cultist Marjorie Taylor Greene has officially filed articles of impeachment against President Biden for the 6th time. Intrigued? Then click that like and subscribe and enjoy the video. Alright folks, it's a Thursday, a day that ends in Y, which means it's yet another day for Marjorie Taylor Greene to be crazy. What am I talking about? Well, today's craziness is in the form of articles of impeachment that she has filed against the president, which in her case would be the 6th time she's done it. This is a clip about a minute long from a press conference she held this morning in which she announced this. So let's hear what she has to say.
It is with the highest amount of solemnity that I announce my intention to introduce articles of impeachment today on the head of this America at Last executive branch that has been working since January 20th, 2021 to systematically destroy this country. The President of the United States, Joseph Robinette Biden. Joe Biden has deliberately compromised our national security by refusing to enforce immigration laws and secure our border, allowed approximately 6 million illegals from over 170 countries to invade our country, deprived Border Patrol of the necessary resources and policies sufficient to protect our country, and his administration has willfully refused to maintain operational control as required by the law.
Well, there you have it, folks. So a couple of quick fact checks. Number one, under the Biden administration, border spending, border policies, and border manpower are virtually identical to what they were under the Trump administration. That is simply a matter of fact, and we've discussed it in previous videos. And as a matter of fact, in terms of enforcement, the Biden administration has seen record arrests under Border Patrol that exceed what happened in the past. So Biden and the Biden administration, they're arresting and detaining illegal migrants at a higher rate than any other administration. That's a sign of enforcement, not lack of enforcement. And finally, in terms of border security, I would simply say that unlike President Trump, President Biden was able to actually secure investment from Mexico, billions of dollars worth of investment from Mexico in terms of border security. And he secured commitments from other South American countries to accept more migrants that are being sent back from the United States. So if an illegal migrant crosses, countries like Mexico and Honduras and others are accepting more of them. They're saying, hey, look, United States, if you're going to deport them, we'll accept even more. That's a product of President Biden's diplomacy. And I'll also point out that even Title 42, which is the policy that Republicans lauded so much under the Trump administration, which allowed the quick expulsion of illegal migrants, that was maintained and enforced throughout most of Biden's presidency. As a matter of fact, it was only rescinded a couple of days ago. And since Title 42 has been rescinded, as we discussed in a previous video, we have seen a 50% decrease in illegal migrant crossings. That is a sign of Biden border policies working, okay? So once again, when conservatives are challenged, what is Biden not doing? What is Biden failing to do? All they do is cite the numbers, the increasing rates at which people are crossing the border, which fair enough, even though, again, for the past couple of days, we've seen a decrease. But what's he doing differently from Trump? You can't say it's a lack of manpower, lack of resources, lack of policies, because you say it worked under Trump, and Biden is effectively doing the same thing that Trump did, just less cruelly. But the manpower, the resources, the allocation, it's all the same. So name a policy. They can't. So that's why she's filing articles of impeachment. But I want to point out a couple of things about impeachment. So she has, personally, Marjorie Taylor Greene has filed impeachment articles against Biden. This will be now the 6th time. And I think it's the 10th time total in the 2.5 years that Biden's been in office that Republicans have attempted to impeach him. Marjorie Taylor Greene was the first, and she did it the day after Biden was inaugurated on January 21st, 2021. Okay? So 6 attempts by her, a couple of others like Randy Weber, Bob Gibbs, Lauren Boebert, Bill Posey. They've been gunning for Biden 10 times. That is an absurd rate. And these are also the same people that when 2 articles of impeachment were filed against President Trump, said, whoa, impeachment's a political, you're making this a political tool. How dare you? This is escalatory. And now they're doing this at a far higher rate than under the Trump administration. Axios actually commented on this in an article, and this may even be outdated because it's back on September 22nd, 2022. So we're talking 7 months ago. According to congressional records, Republicans have outstripped any attempt by Democrats and outpaced any attempt by Democrats to impeach under Biden compared to Trump, right? So House Republicans have introduced more than a dozen impeachment resolutions against President Biden and his officials, far outpacing Democrats' formal impeachment efforts at this point in former President Trump's term. It's ridiculous. Not even close to the same. So the very same people who are saying, don't turn impeachment into a political tool, are not only turning it into a political tool, but are swinging that hammer whenever and wherever possible. Now, obviously, it goes without saying that these articles of impeachment will fail. You need a simple majority in the House of Representatives, which technically Congress could get, right? Because the Republicans are in the majority. And it's not a stretch to assume, as we've discussed again in previous videos, that even moderate Republicans who are ultimately cowards and willing to vote on party lines, it's not a stretch to imagine that they could get the simple majority to impeach Biden. But then comes the conviction, right? Because the trial for impeachment is held in the Senate, in which Democrats still have a majority. It's highly unlikely that they would get two-thirds majority, which is what you need according to the Constitution, to convict the president. So this is almost certainly doomed to fail. And more importantly, this is going to help President Biden's reelection bids, because now this is fodder for Democratic ads and advertising and fundraising. They can say, listen, while the president's dealing with an obstructionist, regressive Congress and their brinkmanship, you have major Republican leaders, which Marjorie Taylor Greene is, just simply trying to, it's another day to impeach him. You know what? I woke up this morning. It's a Thursday. Let's just impeach Biden. So he can point to the lack of seriousness from the GOP. This will help President Biden. I'll also point out one other thing. I saw this tweet earlier from I don't know this guy, but he's a guy on Twitter, about 7,000 followers. He says he's like a classical liberal, which is code for conservative. You're just too cowardly to admit it. So he says in response to this, first, Marjorie Taylor Greene probably deserves a thank you from the president because this helps him. She just made herself and this resolution a focal piece of fundraising email, which is true. But then this is the key part. He says, second, I swear the media spends far too much time focusing on crazy members and the stupid stuff they do. I have a huge problem with this, and as a matter of fact, I responded. The media shouldn't cover the stupid and counterproductive stuff done by crazy elected representatives wielding state power on the taxpayer's dime. It's certainly a take. If y'all don't like Marjorie Taylor Greene and her GOP crazies, blame the GOP and demand that they excise her. You have conservatives, again, in the media who recognize that this is a political stunt doomed to fail and it will probably help the Democrats. These are moderate conservatives, so to speak. But they're more upset that the media is covering it. As if the shoe was on the other foot, they wouldn't cover it if a Democrat did this. But unfortunately for them, Democrats have no analog to Marjorie Taylor Greene. As we pointed out in a previous video, on its very worst day, the Democratic Party is significantly less crazy than the Republican Party on its very best day. The Democratic Party does not have anything close to a Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Lauren Boebert, a Paul Gosar, etc., and so forth. Their crazy outnumbers the Democrats' crazy by orders of magnitude. And conservatives in the media don't like this. Well, it's their fault because they need to hold Republicans accountable. They need to say, listen, don't elect and don't empower people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Paul Gosar, and others, because the media is going to rightly cover it. And that's the thing. These aren't fringe elements. These are key players in the Republican Party who are elected representatives wielding state power on the taxpayer's dime. This deserves coverage. The stupid and counterproductive stuff that crazy Republicans do deserve to be covered, even if it's inconvenient for the image of the Republican Party. That's not the media's fault. It's not the voters' fault. It's the Republicans' fault. The Republican Party leadership shouldn't say, hey guys, don't pay attention to this, please, for the love of God. They need to turn to these very influential, very powerful, very prominent members like Marjorie Taylor Greene and say, stop doing this. And if you continue to do this, we will crush you politically. But they won't do that because they're cowards and they need every vote they can. So anyway, just wanted to share this. This is an interesting story. And again, hopefully the president's reelection campaign will make wild hash out of this and constantly spam this message out because it's only going to help.